Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into something pretty cool that you sent our way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, excerpts from this article. It's called Soaring into the Future with Hydrogen Planes.
Okay.
All about how, hydrogen could really revolutionize how we fly.
Wow.
And get this, there's this French startup, Beyond Aero,
Good.
and they're already building these hydrogen-powered business jets.
That's pretty amazing, actually. Yeah. It is. What's really interesting is they're not just, some small operation. They've actually managed to get a lot of investment.
Yeah.
Like $44 million.
I saw that, yeah. Including a Series A round.
Yeah.
And hold on, even more than that, like $914 million in letters of intent
Yeah.
for 108 aircraft.
Yeah. A lot of interest.
Okay, wait, hold on. Back up for a second.
Sure.
For those of us who aren't, business experts,
Right.
what does a letter of intent actually mean, like, in this situation?
That's a great question. It basically means that a company or an organization is seriously considering buying something. It's more than just, saying, oh, we're interested. It's a real commitment, like a promise.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that they're ready to put their money where their mouth is, so to speak.
So it means that there's a real market for this technology.
Exactly, yeah.
So tell me more about Beyond Aero. Who are these people? What are they all about?
Well, Beyond Aero, it was actually founded just back in 2020
Okay.
by these three entrepreneurs,
Okay.
Valentin Comel, Eloy Guillotin, and Hugo Tarlet.
Okay.
And their goal, their mission, is to really address this big issue that not everyone thinks about, which is the carbon footprint of business aviation.
Right.
A lot of people think about, commercial airlines and their impact.
Right, yeah.
But business jets, even though they're much smaller,
Yeah.
they actually emit something like 10 times more CO2
Wow.
a passenger than a regular commercial flight.
Ouch.
So, yeah, it's a problem.
So Beyond Aero, they're trying to make, luxury travel.
It's a little more eco-friendly.
Exactly. More sustainable, for sure.
So they're developing, what is it, the One?
The One, yeah.
That's their plane.
Yep. The world's first hydrogen-powered electric business jet.
Oh, okay, so it's electric, but it runs on hydrogen.
Well, it uses hydrogen, yeah.
Okay.
But it's not like a car that burns gas. It's actually powered by these things called fuel cells. They're like mini power plants that basically take hydrogen, combine it with oxygen from the air, and they generate electricity.
Right.
And the only thing that comes out of the back is water.
No way. Just water.
Yep, just water. Pretty cool, huh?
That's incredible. That's amazing. But it's one thing to talk about it.
Sure.
It's another to actually build it.
Right. Yeah.
So where are they at in this whole process?
Well, they've already had a few big successes. They've actually already achieved France's first ever manned hydrogen electric flight.
Wow.
And
So they've got something in the air.
they got something in the air, yeah. But what about like getting this technology ready for, for the market, for everybody?
Right. Well, that's where things get even more interesting. They're putting a ton of money, like $12 million,
Wow.
into building this thing called the Hydrogen Electric Powertrain Lab.
Okay, break that down for me.
Sure. Basically, it's like a giant simulator. Imagine taking the entire power system of the One and putting it in a lab where they can test everything. They're testing how the hydrogen is stored, how the fuel cells generate electricity, how the electric motors actually propel the plane.
Okay.
And they're not just testing each part individually.
Right.
They're testing how the whole system works together.
Okay.
And that's really important for safety, but also for reaching something called Technology Readiness Level 6.
Technology readiness level 6. That sounds pretty official.
Yeah, it basically means that the technology is ready to move out of the lab and into the real world.
Okay.
So it's a really big step before they can get these jets certified to actually carry passengers.
So they're really putting this technology through its paces.
Yeah, they're really making sure that it works.
Now, speaking of real-world testing,
Yeah.
didn't they already do like a test flight?
They did. Earlier this year, they flew a scaled-down version of their powertrain,
Okay.
and it was a success.
Wow.
And that was a big deal because it was the first time a hydrogen-powered aircraft had flown in France.
So they're making history here.
They really are.
But they can't do this all alone, can they? Are they working with anyone to actually make this hydrogen dream a reality?
They're actually working with a lot of different partners,
Okay.
and they're really smart about it. They've teamed up with over 50 airports
Okay.
worldwide, including airports to Paris, to develop that hydrogen refueling infrastructure.
That's really smart.
Yeah, because you can build the greatest plane in the world,
Yeah.
but if you can't fuel it up,
Yeah.
it's useless.
It's not going to go anywhere.
Exactly.
But why airports specifically, why not just build, hydrogen fueling stations?
Well, think about it. Airports already have all the systems in place for handling fuel.
Right.
So it's a lot easier for them to adapt and integrate hydrogen into their existing infrastructure.
Okay.
And Beyond Aero is actually using gaseous hydrogen, which is easier to store and transport than liquid hydrogen.
Okay.
So that makes it even easier for airports to adopt it.
That's smart. So they're thinking ahead.
They're really thinking about how to make this work.
But aren't there other challenges, though, when it comes to, making hydrogen-powered aviation like a real thing?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There are a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunities.
Okay.
And that's actually a perfect place to pick up after a quick break.
Okay, so we'll be right back to dive deeper into those challenges and opportunities.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned. Okay, so before the break, we were talking all about Beyond Aero and those hydrogen-powered business jets.
All right.
But it feels like this whole hydrogen thing is, it's got to be bigger than just one company.
Well, absolutely. I mean, Beyond Aero, they're definitely leading the way, but this is a trend we're seeing everywhere. The whole world is looking for ways to get rid of carbon emissions.
Yeah.
And hydrogen is becoming, like the main character in that story.
Right.
Especially in industries like aviation, It's always been one of the hardest ones to make clean.
And speaking of that, actually, I was just reading about how Airbus is actually developing their own hydrogen-powered concept plane.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
So are we seeing a real shift here? Is hydrogen really going to be like the fuel of the future?
Well, it's definitely gaining a lot of traction, and for good reason. I mean, think about it. When you get hydrogen from renewable sources, it's like super clean. The only thing that comes out of it is water.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to all the emissions from jet fuel, it's just night and day.
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
Huge, yeah.
So hydrogen really could be like the answer to this problem.
It has the potential.
But I'm guessing it's not all, easy. What are some of the challenges to actually using this to power planes?
Well, one of the biggest ones is energy density. Hydrogen, even though there's a lot of it,
All right.
it doesn't actually hold as much energy in the same space as like regular jet fuel.
Oh, okay.
So you need much bigger tanks to store the same amount of energy, which is, kind of a problem when you're dealing with airplanes.
Yeah. You don't have a lot of space to work with.
No, not really.
So it's like a trade-off.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. You get the clean energy, but you have to figure out how to carry all that fuel.
And are engineers working on that problem?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're developing these really cool lightweight tanks made from special materials like composites.
Okay.
And they can hold hydrogen under incredibly high pressure, so it really helps to, keep the tanks as small as possible.
Okay, so they're pushing the limits of what's possible.
Yeah, definitely. It's like this really complex puzzle they're trying to solve.
And even if you solve the storage problem, there's got to be other things. Like, where do we get all this hydrogen?
That's a great point, and this is really important. We can't just get hydrogen from anywhere. We need to be talking about green hydrogen.
Okay, so what does that mean?
Green hydrogen is hydrogen that's made using renewable energy sources like solar power or wind power.
Okay, so it's clean from the start.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're just moving the emissions around.
Yeah.
You're not actually solving the problem.
Right, yeah. We don't want to create a new problem.
No, definitely not.
So we have to have a clean way of making the hydrogen in the first place.
Exactly. We need to invest in the infrastructure to produce it, store it, and transport it.
Okay.
On a really large scale.
Yeah, that's a big challenge.
It is.
But it's essential if we want this to really work.
Absolutely.
And I imagine, there are also safety concerns.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, hydrogen, it's flammable, right?
Yeah, it is. So safety is, super important.
Yeah.
We need new technologies and a lot of testing to make sure that, hydrogen can be used in airplanes without any risk.
Right.
But we're not starting from zero.
Yeah.
We can learn a lot from other industries that already use hydrogen, like the space program, for example.
That's a good point.
Yeah, they've been doing this for a while.
And what about the public? Are people going to want to fly in a hydrogen-powered plane?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. Public perception is definitely a factor here.
Yeah.
People can be, a little afraid of new technologies.
Right.
Especially when it comes to something like flying.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if we educate people about the safety and the benefits of hydrogen.
Right.
And how it can make aviation sustainable.
Yeah.
People will come around.
So there's definitely work to be done.
Oh, yeah. Lots of work.
But the potential is huge.
It is. It's really exciting.
Now, this Beyond Aero story,
Yeah.
it feels like it's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Of this whole this whole hydrogen thing in aviation.
Yeah.
What other things should we be looking at? What other developments are happening?
Well, one thing that's really promising is that a lot of governments around the world
Yeah.
are putting a lot of money into hydrogen research.
Okay.
Like countries like Germany, Japan, Australia.
Oh.
They're really taking the lead because they see how important hydrogen is for fighting climate change.
This is a global effort.
It really is. It's not just about airplanes anymore. It's about changing how we get our energy.
It's like a whole new energy system.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, going back to aviation,
Yeah.
you know, Beyond Aero, they're making business jets.
Right.
But what about commercial flights? The big planes?
Yeah.
Could we be flying on like hydrogen-powered jumbo jets soon?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, it's possible, but it's a much bigger challenge.
Okay.
Commercial aviation, it's all about efficiency
Right.
and keeping costs down.
It's a business.
It is, yeah. So
Right.
it's not just about slapping a bigger hydrogen tank on a 747, right?
No, I guess not.
It's about redesigning things from the ground up.
Yeah.
And then there's the cost. You know, right now, green hydrogen is more expensive than regular jet fuel.
Okay.
But as technology gets better and we start making more of it,
Right.
the price should come down.
So we just have to wait.
Yeah, basically, but hopefully not too long. Because if we can make this happen for commercial flights,
Yeah.
the impact on the environment would be, I mean, huge.
It would change everything.
Yeah, it would be amazing. Imagine flying without feeling bad about the environment.
Right. That's the dream.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Maybe we'll look back at this time
Yeah.
as the moment when hydrogen really took off.
I like that, yeah.
But, you know, while we're dreaming about the future,
Sure.
there are some practical things we need to think about.
Right, like what?
Like the rules and regulations.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
We can't just start flying these planes without making sure it's all safe.
No, definitely not. Aviation is a very regulated industry, and for good reason,
But
right?
yeah, of course. Safety first.
Exactly. And when you're talking about a new technology like hydrogen,
Yeah.
there's a lot to figure out. Governments and aviation authorities need to, like, set clear rules about everything,
Okay.
from how the fuel is made,
Right.
to how the planes are designed,
Okay.
to how the pilots are trained.
That's a big process.
Yeah, it is. But it's all about safety and making sure that people trust this technology.
Are there already rules for hydrogen-powered planes?
Well, it's still early days, but they're working on it.
Okay.
There are organizations like the International Civil Aviation Organization.
Right.
They're developing international standards.
Okay.
And some countries are already making their own rules.
So it's moving forward.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But even with all the rules, there's always some risk when you're dealing with new technology.
Of course.
So how do we make sure it's safe?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Well, testing, testing, testing. Every single part of the system, from the tanks to the fuel cells to the plane itself,
Right.
everything has to go through really rigorous testing to make sure it meets the highest safety standards.
And what about the pilots? They'll need special training, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Pilot
Okay.
training is crucial.
Okay.
Pilots need to understand how hydrogen-powered planes work, how to handle the fuel safely,
Right.
and what to do if there's an emergency.
It's amazing to think that we might be at the beginning of like a whole new era of aviation.
Yeah.
Moving away from fossil fuels and towards, you know, a cleaner, more sustainable future.
It's an exciting time for sure.
But with any big change,
Yeah.
there are going to be challenges.
Of course, that's part of the process, right?
Yeah, it's a journey, and
And
we're
we're-
just getting started.
That's a great way to put it.
So we've covered a lot today.
We have.
I feel like I've learned so much.
You too.
But before we go too far,
Yeah.
let's take a quick pause, and then we'll come back to wrap up our deep dive into this whole world of hydrogen aviation. Okay, we're back and ready to wrap things up here with our hydrogen aviation deep dive. It's really been fascinating
Yeah, it's been a good one.
talking about, you know, Beyond Aero and everything they're doing
Yeah.
and this whole global push for green hydrogen.
Right.
And it's striking me that this all connects to something much bigger. It's
Yeah.
like people are finally realizing that, you know, flying has an impact on the environment.
Right.
And they want to see that change.
Definitely a shift in thinking, that's for sure.
And I think, you know, even a few years ago, the
Yeah.
idea of a hydrogen plane was just like science fiction, right?
Yeah, it seemed impossible.
But now it's actually happening.
It is, yeah.
And it's not just small startups. It's like the big companies, too,
Right.
like Airbus and Boeing.
Yeah, they're getting involved.
So what do you think is driving this? Is it just, you know, people being worried about the environment?
I think it's a few things, actually.
Okay.
Definitely more and more people are thinking about the environment when they travel.
Right. They want to make greener choices.
Exactly. And airlines, their business is right.
Yeah.
They have to adapt or they're going to get left behind.
So consumer demand is a big factor.
It is. And also, governments around the world are making stricter environmental rules.
Oh, yeah, the regulations.
Yeah, they're setting tougher targets for emissions, which is pushing the aviation industry to find new solutions.
It's like everything's coming together at the right time.
It is. It's kind of a perfect storm, but a good one,
Yeah. Yeah, it's forcing everyone to innovate,
Exactly.
to find new ways to do things.
And we can't forget about all the advances in technology.
Right, the technology's catching up.
Yeah, fuel cells, lightweight materials, energy storage, it's all getting better and better.
So it really feels like we're at a turning point.
It does, yeah.
But the big question,
Yeah.
can hydrogen actually revolutionize commercial air travel?
It's the million-dollar question, right?
Like, is it really possible to imagine, like, huge hydrogen-powered planes flying people across the ocean?
I mean, I think it's possible, but it's a huge challenge.
What?
Commercial aviation is all about scale.
Yeah.
It's about moving millions of people every day.
Right.
So it's not as simple as just making bigger planes.
Yeah, I guess not.
With bigger hydrogen tanks.
No, it's a lot more complicated than that. We need a whole system, starting with a reliable source of green hydrogen.
Right. Enough for everyone.
Yeah, and then we need new infrastructure at airports to handle all that hydrogen.
Yeah, it's a massive undertaking.
It is. But think about it. Imagine a world where you can fly anywhere without worrying about harming the environment.
That would be incredible.
It would.
And while we're waiting for those hydrogen-powered jumbo jets,
Yeah.
there are other areas where this technology can make a difference.
Oh, absolutely. Like shorter flights, for example, or
Yeah.
even cargo transport. Those are perfect for hydrogen.
Right, because they don't need to fly as far.
Exactly, and they don't need to carry as much weight.
So it's like a stepping stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We can start small and learn as we go and eventually work our way up to those bigger planes and longer flights.
So it's a journey.
It is.
We're just at the beginning.
And the most important thing is that we're moving in the right direction.
Well said. Well, this has been amazing.
Yeah, it has.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us.
My pleasure.
As we wrap up here,
Yeah.
what are some key things you want our listeners to take away from this?
Well, first of all, I hope they feel optimistic,
Mm-hmm.
This shift to hydrogen aviation,
Mm-hmm.
it's real, it's happening.
Yeah.
It's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
Right. And how?
Exactly. And it's not just talk. There are real things happening, real progress being made.
That's what's exciting.
Yeah. And the other thing is, this is a team effort, It's not just one company or one country. It's everyone working together.
We all have a part to play.
Exactly. Governments, businesses, scientists, even passengers.
It's a shared responsibility.
Absolutely.
Any final thoughts?
Just, keep looking up.
At the sky.
Yeah. The future of flight is changing, and it's changing for the better.
And it's not just about the technology.
Right.
It's about the people, the ideas, the passion to create a better future.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, thank you again for joining us on this deep dive into the world of hydrogen-powered flight. And to all our listeners, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep looking up. Until next time.